I wanted to respond to kind of a specific comment you made. I hope you'll be open to that. I do remember, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what university you did say this specifically at, but you did state that you believe that the Holocaust was not as bad as abortion. So in other words, you believe that abortion is worse than the Holocaust.
So they're both distinct evils.
Of course.
With some similarities. The Holocaust in some ways was far more evil.
Okay.
But as far as magnitude, the abortion crime is more evil. And I can explain more if you'd like.
Okay, sure. So I did do some research. It is found that 1973 Roe v. Wade was ratified, correct? And so one thing that you did fail to mention was that specifically numbers are just larger because abortion has been going on for a longer amount of time. If the mass genocide, right, that the Holocaust would have continued, it was about 6 million killed per year. That would have progressed to 12 million. That would have progressed to 18 million. But it was ended because, again, it's a totalitarian form of mass genocide. And so I wanted to ask you, when you look at the 93% of women who do get abortions, it's 58,590,000 that get abortions the first trimester, correct? And there is suggestive data that states that 12 weeks, of gestation, there is significant data that has said that pain receptors may not have yet been developed. And so that would mean that outside of the women who received abortions first trimester, it would be 88,200 per year after the first trimester that the babies are likely experiencing pain. I will admit to that. However, I am pretty sure that every single person in the Holocaust, which would have been 2 million per year, as far as the people who could feel pain, did feel that pain. And so I would like to ask you, actually I think I would just like to tell you, I think that 2 million actual people, kids, grown people who were starved, worked to death, I think that is more significant than the 88,200 life forms, if you will. Because, again, 58,590,000 of them are probably not feeling any pain.
Okay, yeah, but a human life is a human life, regardless of how advanced it is or whether it can feel pain. It still has moral worth.
Right, but I found it interesting. You said it's worse, so I think that what I'm...
So it's worse in numbers.
Okay.
The Holocaust was worse for two other different reasons.
Sure, go ahead.
It actually eliminated such a big portion of Jewish population.
Absolutely.
Nearly half of all living Jews were basically vaporized. And secondly, there was an intent and an evil of trying to eradicate an entire religious people.
Yeah.
That is not unparalleled, but we've only seen that happen 4 or 5 times in history. But just to reiterate the point, what maybe you could tell me, a 4-week-old baby who may or may not feel pain. Let me take your argument and say the 4-week-old baby cannot feel pain.
A 4-week-old baby that's outside of the womb or in the utero.
In utero.
Okay, understood.
So what is the moral difference of that 4-week-old baby versus you?
Versus me?
Yeah. Why do you matter more than that 4-week-old baby?
Because I have past experience, I also have future experiences. That baby, while it has future experiences, nope, shut up, nope, you are incorrect. That baby does not have any past experiences, and therefore I believe that, yeah, I've probably affected and impacted more people in both a positive and a negative way than that 4-week-old uterus has. I'm sorry, not uterus, embryo.
Yeah, so just to make sure I'm clear,
yeah.
that your moral worldview is that people gain more value the older they get?
Not necessarily the older they get. I would say that people gain more value.
Well, no, you said that based on what they've done. So, like an 82-year-old has more moral value than an 8-year-old. In fact, usually
no, because it depends.
Just to interrupt, the West actually was built on the opposite idea that we sacrifice the old for the young. But during COVID, we sacrificed the young for the old, and we actually inverted it. It used to be that the grandparents would fall on the sword so that kids could live longer lives. So I'm just trying to understand, and from where do you get that moral worldview? Why do you believe that?
Well, I wouldn't even say that what I'm arguing is that it's based off of how many people you know. What I'm saying is, realistically, if you are walking around, right, and you have a 4-week-old uterus, I'm so sorry, I keep saying uterus.
A baby
in embryo.
In utero.
Or embryo, okay, in your stomach. And then you have, just take a 4-year-old kid, all right? There are more people who most likely know that 4-year-old kid. That 4-year-old kid has the ability to understand fear, the fact that its life is in danger, and so therefore there is probably there's probably more reason, right, to not terminate the life of that 4-year-old
Yeah,
rather than the life of the 4-week-old.
So there's so much wrong with that argument. Okay. So under that belief system,
sure.
If by government decree they said let's eliminate the Down syndrome kids,
do Down syndrome people still have the ability to feel pain, recognize fear,
some,
recognize
but
sadness?
But it's highly diminished. But just this is not a hypothetical, actually.
Okay.
It's actually you must get an abortion in Iceland if you have a Down syndrome baby. You must.
Yeah, that's really terrible.
Okay, we agree.
Yeah.
Right, but why is it terrible? The abortion, it doesn't matter that much, right? It's just like a clump of cells. Like, why not?
If it is going to directly impact either the mother's life or the baby's life, then yes, I do think that abortion is an important issue. I don't think the government should ever be able to come in and say, hey, you're required to have an abortion. In fact, the whole slogan for the pro-choice movement is your body, your choice. And I know you're going to disagree with that, but that is the whole point. So what it's saying is it's not left up to the government to decide if they should or shouldn't get an abortion. In Iceland, yeah, that's a problem because it's entirely left up to the government. But that's an issue.
Let me take it to another extreme, if that's okay.
Sure.
Because this is full freedom, right? So you're saying, hey, my body, my choice.
I'm actually saying for the first trimester. After that,
fair enough.
Yep.
Let's just say this is a different moral argument that I'm interested to have you play around with.
Okay.
Should it be legal if a mom finds out she's having a girl,
okay,
but she wants a boy? Should she be able to abort that 3-week-old?
Yes.
Why?
Can that child directly survive outside her body?
Well, eventually, yes. I mean, again, so we talk about stages of development. What is the first step of human development?
I mean, obviously, it's whenever the two pieces of DNA, the
egg and the sperm
correct,
meet,
yes,
right?
and then they collaborate.
So therefore, if
Uh-huh.
human development begins at fertilization, conception,
sure.
So then shouldn't the human be protected at conception?
Well, I don't even think it's going to be protected if the baby is going to be born to a mother who's like, well, dang it, my kid's not a girl, it's a boy, or vice versa. Then I don't even think they should be born to that parent in the first place. So,
but just to
sure.
understand, so what you are arguing for is eugenics. Just so we are clear, it is not just illegal. It is grotesquely illegal what you are talking about, which is sex-selective abortion, basically where you get a DNA result at 3 weeks. And you could be like, nope, not the hair color I like, terminate it. I wanted a boy. So basically, your view of pregnancy is no different than customizing a Ford Explorer.
no, my whole point, again,
No,
is
you got to emphasize on it. Your view is that the baby, if all of a sudden you get a blood test that you don't like, that it's, by the way, you could tell a lot of your baby's DNA test now. How tall it's going to be, its average IQ, brown eyes, green eyes, blue eyes, whether it's going to be likely overweight, obese, whether or not it's going to be a boy or a girl. So if you get anything that you don't like, you say, my body, my choice, get it out of the shopping cart.
Well, yeah, and to be honest, it's very ethically problematic, yeah. But if we have advanced to a society where that can happen, number one,
yes, no,
we're
I mean,
already
you get
we're
blood
already
tests.
in pretty big trouble if we can literally say, okay, the baby's gonna have blue eyes, green eyes.
No, it's not. We're already there. We're there. So it's just so you understand. It's already.
I mean, you can look at a Punnett table, but it's not actually gonna be defined.
No, it's very defined. You can get a 3-week-old blood test, and you could tell right around 3 to 6 weeks almost everything with a very, very high predictive correlation of how your kid is going to operate, grow. Now, of course, there are some issues with it, but the sex is highly, highly accurate. You take the urine of the mom within 48 hours, you could tell. So, what I want to make sure we're clear. You came here asking about the Holocaust. I'm going to complete the full circle. What you just talked about, sex-selective abortion, is Nazi eugenics philosophy, which is that we will eliminate those that we don't want.
Interesting. You're exactly right. You did get me on that one. Yeah, because I'm not gonna sit up here and pretend that you got me on that one. No, realistically, if we're really gonna full circle and I'm gonna sit here and think about it, no, you shouldn't be able to kill your baby just because you don't like the gender or whatever.
Fair enough.
And I apologize for taking it to that extent.
No, it's not your extent.
But hold on.
I want to offer you grace. Thank you for saying that, and I appreciate that.
Okay. But I want to say, as far as like if we are balancing the numbers, I think that the amount of lives that were terminated I think they are more significant as far as the Holocaust, because every single person did absolutely have the ability to feel pain than they were whenever it was the 58 million.
Fair enough. So here's our view, and we'll close with this.
Yes, absolutely.
Is that if there's a 3-year-old in the audience that has very few friends and might be living on some homestead, or a 30-year-old that's very connected and very wealthy, in the moral worldview economy that we have, no moral difference. If there's
because they're like directly living like outside of their mother's womb, whereas if you have
let me go a step further.
Okay,
if there's a 3-week-old in utero,
I mean, it's still leeching off of the mother's resources, so I'm not sure entirely how much of its own being it is.
Well, again, so you leech for the first 3 years of life. I have a 10-month-old. He doesn't hunt and gather. He doesn't go work.
But he's not directly attached to your, I assume, to your wife's body.
In order for his survival, he has to be directly attached to something. Somebody has to give the baby breast milk formula, or
formula. Yeah, but can it
or something?
Okay, so here's your wife. Here's the baby. Can the baby just be apart from your wife and exist like that?
At 22 weeks, yes. So for 22 weeks,
so
there's
an
umbilical cord. So what you say leech, I say give. The mom gives life to the baby.
Yeah,
to
I mean, I'm not arguing outside of first trimester.
And
so
what
I
we
agree
say,
with you there.
and not even a religious standpoint, because the religious is easy. Just from a moral standpoint, we were all given life by a mom who gave us nutrients through an umbilical cord, and we should give that back. That is just the moral cycle of life, right? Which is that which is given, that which is much expected. And so, again, human development, irrefutably, even a pro-abort will say this. Human development has a starting point.
It does. It absolutely does.
Yes, we agree. And it's conception. And we can use all these different words. We can use fetus, we can use embryo, we can use little one, whatever.
Sure.
But it's all still a human being. It doesn't go from rhinoceros to human being at like 10 weeks. It doesn't go from crocodile to human being. It's all human development. Therefore, using reason that we all have, if it's human development and it is a human being, human rights. The first of all human rights is the protection of life.
Interesting. But, okay, so do you agree that, like, let's say you go into a doctor's office, you have a 10-year-old, and then you have a 22-year-old. The 22-year-old is going to be allowed to submit to more testing as long without parental consent than that 10-year-old or whoever I said was. So, I don't know. I think, honestly, it's, again, and I don't know, like,
You have a lot of thinking to do about this, and that's okay. Because and this is not your fault, the pro-abortion worldview will collapse if you remove feelings and you remove hyper-emotionality. There is no defense using agreed-upon Western reason, which you believe in, and Western morality, which is we don't kill people smaller than us. We do not eradicate those that are, just because they don't have as much money or as much worth. We believe in universal human equality, which, of course, you believe in, right? Universal human equality is like the overarching big Western ideal, and by the way, it's in our Declaration of Independence. All men are created equal. If you believe in universal human equality, there is no room for abortion in that society. It does not exist.
Well, I mean, okay, we can say that.
No, I'm just saying, it's fine. You have a lot to think about with that.
But then we're going to, I think you do too, but okay.
I'm happy to. No, it's fine. I mean, I've thought about this my whole life. So thank you for your time.
I'm thinking myself. Listen, I appreciate you, Charlie. Again, I want to apologize about what I said earlier about
That's fine.
About that comment.
When we cut the video, we'll put your second answer as well as your first one. We'll be fair to that, okay? Thank you very much.
Sure you will. Right.
No, I will. I'll just be honest. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kiana. I'm not here to change your mind or anything. I'm just mostly here to ask, why do you believe that abortion has become such a political and dividing issue in specifically the last few years?
Well, the repeal of Roe versus Wade, for sure, is one of the reasons. And secondly, there has been a not-so-subtle dehumanization movement over the last 60 years that makes it acceptable to crush human beings smaller than you if you so choose.
Okay. It's mostly I believe that the initiative of those beliefs have become more hateful towards women, and I'm just kind of wondering, what is the incentive with all of these points? Why should we not have the option to choose?
Do you have the agency or the choice to murder?
Well, yes. There's consequences, but I do have the option.
Under the law?
No,
Okay,
technically.
so therefore, that's our position.
Well, not necessarily. It's more so in the aspects of when, the mother's life is in danger and, those special circumstances, like why can we not have those options in those situations either? Because no one is inherently going out saying, I just want to kill babies. That's not anyone's point here.
Well, yeah,
it's more so the point
you should look at a Planned Parenthood ad. I mean, that's basically what they do. But so less than half of 1% of all abortions have to do with the life of the mother. 99.5% of all abortions have to do with just a form of birth control. It's a last catch option because whatever type of birth control you were using didn't work.
Would you want someone who is not necessarily stable or ready to bring a child into this world and provide that child the life it deserves? Would you want them to still bring that child into this world?
Without a doubt. Every life has a moral obligation to be able to live. So I just want to play this out. So you say it's all about the choice of the mother. Mm-hmm. At what point does the human being in utero become a human being in your mind? Because it must be not human than human. When does it cross that threshold? And why?
I would say more so in the 2nd to 3rd trimester.
Got it. So just be respectful, guys. But why then? I mean, what happens in the 2nd and 3rd trimester specifically that all of a sudden human being,
Well, it goes from a clump of cells in the 1st trimester to the heart being developed in the brain and the nervous system.
So when does the heart begin?
I believe in the 2nd trimester.
Yeah, 6 weeks. That's the 1st trimester, right? So a heartbeat is detectable between 6 to 8 weeks. That's 2 months. The 2nd trimester does not start till 18 weeks. Brain waves are detectable at 10 weeks. So tell me why 2nd and 3rd trimester.
Because that's when the baby is more so developed, is what I'm saying. Like when in that argument you had I'm not sure when you were shown the pictures of the fetus of a dolphin fetus and a human's fetus, you weren't able to tell the difference.
But that doesn't mean it was not a human being, though.
But that's what I'm saying. It's not developed. It's the same kind of concept. Like, if it comes down to that person's life and their well-being, why should they not choose themselves?
We're talking about two different things. So life of the mother is extremely rare.
It's not that rare, though.
How many times do you think that there are abortions for the life of the mother out of a 1.5 million abortions every year? How much do you think?
I'm not sure with a number off the top of my
less than
head.
500 out of 1.5 million. And by the way, a vast majority of those are babies that could have been delivered by cesarean section. Do you know what a cesarean section is? Okay. So understand that if a baby's at 28 weeks and they say it's life of the mother, why would you terminate the baby when you could deliver it by C-section?
Well, if you can deliver it by
No,
C-section.
but they're not even given that option. Instead, they go to an abortionist.
So
and
then that's essentially an issue that we should address within these politics. Because no one is saying to kill kids. No one is saying kill babies.
But first of all, late-term abortion is very common and very frequent.
It's not that common, though. That's
Again,
a main
how many
point.
times do you think it happens a year?
Late-term abortions?
Yeah.
I don't think it happens
Tens of
that
thousands
often.
of times a year.
You can't say that
Tens
when
of thousands
it comes
of
to the
times.
life of the mother.
But I am curious, though, just more, because you said about well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Why should any person be able to terminate another human being if you feel as if your well-being will be jeopardized? Why should I be able to terminate someone in this audience if they're going to get in my well-being way?
No,
By what moral
that's
but
completely-
apply a universal moral standard to the abortion argument and help me understand it.
If I were to get pregnant right now, I would not be able to give birth to that child and give it the life it deserves because
How did you get pregnant? How did you?
accidents still happen, guys. Like
Okay,
you
hold on.
can be on birth control.
Hold on.
You can still
This is an important point, guys. But wait a second. But then shouldn't you take responsibility for
Absolutely.
your orgasms?
No.
So let me
Listen,
be clear that you want to have all the fun but none of the responsibility.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying accidents still happen.
No, of course. And you know what happens when accidents involve other human beings? You don't terminate them. You don't get to eliminate another human being because of an accident. That's not a moral code we live by.
Correct. But why do you not care about the outcome of that human being's life?
Of course I do. No, I mean.
But you don't, because
I don't?
if I were to give birth to a kid right now and it's living in horrible conditions, because I'm just a college student, why do you not care?
But
why do you not put in funding into those establishments
Hold
to
on.
help them?
let me. Everything that we believe in is about the betterment of that kid's life. Safer streets, for more police on the streets. Want to have better schools and school choice so that kid can read and learn. Stronger churches so that that kid can learn about a strong ethical code.
Why does that matter if I can't afford a house for this kid?
Well, but hold on, I'm going through the list of all the things that can happen. Curtailing inflation so you can have purchasing power for that kid. The point being, everything that we as conservatives believe in is making it easier to have children in this country. And just because we don't want more government money spent on something, which actually makes it harder, does not mean we don't want that thing. But it's a red herring argument. We're talking about the morality of the elimination of a life. Right? And so I just want to be totally understanding of clear that what species is the being when it's at 6 weeks?
To me, I believe that it's a clump of cells.
No, I understand.
It's a zygote.
No, I know, but the species.
I'm sorry, what was
The
that?
species. So everything on the animal kingdom has a species type.
Right.
So we are Homo sapiens, and you could be an alligator. But so what is it? Is it a Homo?
it would be a Homo sapien.
So if it's a Homo sapien, it's human. So then shouldn't it be given human rights?
But it hasn't. My point is, it hasn't been developed. It's still just a clump of cells.
Right, but
at the end of the day.
But hold on, my baby right now is 9 months old. He's still developing. He can't speak yet.
Right.
He's crawling. So why does he have less moral worth at 9 months? We're
saying
all still
that.
developing here, by the way. You know that men's brains don't stop developing till they're 35?
Right. I just believe you're looking at this more emotionally than scientifically.
Again, you can believe that. I actually am looking at it incredibly reasonably because I could tell you down to the minute when human life begins. You kind of give me a range. Your life began not at birth, but at conception, about 9 months before
That's
your
your
birth.
opinion.
Well, it's actually science's opinion. You know why? This is your eye color, your skin color, your tastes, your wants, your desires, your interests, introverted or extroverted, whether or not you're going to be tall or short, it all got decided in that moment. You know why? Your DNA was formed.
Well,
And with that, what is your marker as a human being? As we map the human genome, we realize everything about you. Whether or not you have a predisposition to heart disease, whether you're going to be tall, short, extra wide, skinny. It's all in deoxyribonucleic acid.
Correct.
And the DNA does not start in 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 10 weeks or 20 weeks. It starts at conception. And that's when you were formed. That's when you came into this world and you were worthy of protection. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
I think when we talk about abortion, I think we really get into this idea of like when we should assign personhood, right? So you clearly believe that life begins at conception, and I think it would be better if we shift that metric to a more based on sentience. And I believe that and the question I have for you is that since you believe that life begins at birth, let's say we have a person that's grown to old age and they have died and they have absolutely showing no brain activity at all. Would you believe that shooting that person, that dead person, is the equivalent of a human life?
Yeah, I mean, it is a human life, but those are two totally separate things. One is no more and the other one's not yet.
Right.
So not yet is different than no more. If someone's at the end of their life and there's
Yeah.
nothing more we can do to continue their life, that is a different moral conversation than someone that has not yet been completely grown as a human as you and I. Two
Right.
totally different moral circumstances, so you can't conflate the two.
Right. But I think they both have the same problem where it's about the presence of consciousness, right? Then.
No, it's not a problem. One, the consciousness will come. One will not. That's
Right.
it. So they're two separate things. One has potentiality.
Yeah.
One does not. So you can't conflate the two
Right,
together.
but okay, let's say let me use a different analogy then. Let's say I have a blueprint to a building, right? And I have the materials for the building, and you destroy those materials. The materials of the building isn't the building in itself. Can we both agree that there's a difference between those two?
Is the building building itself in real time and it's currently being constructed and it's going up?
No,
up,
but
up?
it still
They're
doesn't
two
really
different things.
matter because they're
Blueprint-
still adding value to the fact that we're creating the
Bad
building,
analogy.
right?
A blueprint.
How's that how's
because
that
the blueprint not itself is not the building.
Right, exactly.
No,
So
I'm
if
saying,
you
but
were to
a
we
human
agree,
being's
we agree.
DNA is not
we
just
agree
the-
on that though.
No,
that
no,
the
it's not.
blueprint is not the building, so there's probably different moral qualifications.
No,
right?
they're not. I'm saying though
Right?
that the baby is the building. So you're incorrect.
Okay, so
The
so-
building is following the blueprint.
So when you're looking at like I don't know, like a fertilized egg, you're telling me a picture of this fertilized egg is the equivalent of a human life
Yes.
right now, or no? This
Yes.
exact
What's
same
the
thing.
difference?
The different stage of
No,
development.
no. So why
Right.
should stage of development give you more rights.
Well, I mean, okay, you're acting like this is
No,
not something this is done in society. Like, for example, we do judge based on different stages of development, like in cognitive capabilities, right? I'm not letting a fetus drive a car. A fetus can't
but
drive.
no, hold on. Right to
can't
life.
do alcohol and whatnot.
Apply the right to life
Okay,
to your stage of development.
This is a little bit different. So I guess a different question I would have to ask you is like, why I'm assuming your two qualifications here are the fact that like it's a unique cellular organism, right, that has the potential to life,
and it's
right?
human, which
And
is
it's human.
inherently has dignity.
So I guess then this brings into question, because I know there's another scenario where this occurs, right, where fertilization of an egg occurs, and they're on track to development, correct? And this other example that I'll think of is like animals, right? I think why do we not give the same moral consideration to animals as we are to like zygotes in this
Oh, because
situation?
animals aren't human beings.
Okay, but why is human beings?
Human beings have a soul and animals do not.
Have a soul. So this is my point,
No,
guys.
soul is not just
is a
consciousness.
conscious experience.
it's not.
You are
Let me prove it to
engaging
you.
in
Wrong.
This is dishonest. This is dishonest though.
Let me prove it
Because
to
a
you.
level
When
of
someone is
consciousness-
quote unquote brain
Okay.
dead, do you know that they still respond if someone stabs them, their norepinephrine goes up? Do you know that a woman still menstruates if she's brain dead? So consciousness is not human worth. There's something else going on beyond consciousness that exists in a being that is the soul.
Okay, so now we're getting into a conversation of what the difference between the soul and a consciousness is. And I don't
No,
really
they're
think-
totally different. The soul is the something beyond consciousness is your narration to yourself,
Okay.
the ability to reason. There's something above reason. All of us know what that is when it kicks in. You ever hear the expression, words can't describe, I am speechless? You know why? Speech is reason. When you see
Okay.
a sunset that takes your breath away, when you see a newborn life that is born, you don't even have the
Right,
words to
right,
express it
right.
because it transcends your
I
reason.
agree with that.
That is your soul.
So I mean that's a good point. Like when we give, what you just labeled there is like when a child is given born, when they're born, we give such moral significance to that, not the fact that like they got infertilized by an egg. I don't want to celebrate. I want to sort of I'd rather celebrate my birthday rather than like the day my parents had sex. That's kind of a little weird situation. You know what I mean? Like if life begins at conception.
Well, it's called your birthday for a reason,
Right,
but
'cause
you were
I'm born,
you were a
right?
living
You know,
being, not
It seems that like society
you
kind
were
of
9 months prior.
gravitates to this idea of like an actual human being existing that gives moral
that's-
value, right?
One is your entrance to the world. The other one
Right.
is the actual creation of your being. Two different
Right.
things. Your birthday is when you entered the world.
Right,
For
right.
example, your birthday could be at 28 weeks, not 36
Okay.
weeks. So everybody has a different day when you exit the womb, but it's
Okay.
not when your worth begins. That's not when your value begins. That's simply when you exit the womb.
Right. So I have a good question. I really want to get back to this idea of like you give more moral value to the level of the fact that like that humans that are developed have a soul in comparison to like a zygote that, or actually no, animals
or a
animals, is
coyote.
that- Okay. So is that not the same comparison to like a zygote to a developed human being in the sense that we are a higher functioning conscious being in comparison to like this other thing that we can just actively kill whenever we want?
Doesn't matter. I
Why
mean,
does it
can you
not matter,
actively
though?
kill a 1-year-old? Doesn't have as much acuity as you do or consciousness.
Right, yeah, but like I mean,
Can
that's
you?
not the,
Can
that's
you
not-
kill a
that's not the-
1-year-old?
That's the same thing because like this is
Of
like,
course
going back
the same
to my
thing.
like
What's the
idea of
difference in a
sentience,
1-year-old
right?
and a 1-day-old zygote? What's the moral difference?
The level of consciousness.
Oh,
right?
so one's bigger. One's more developed. One's older.
not one more
the
developed, no,
consciousness
no.
is completely
Sure,
irrelevant.
sure.
Because
How is
just
it
you know that
irrelevant?
a 1-day-old out of the womb doesn't have a lot of consciousness at all.
Okay, sure,
It
that's
can't
fine.
speak. It can't really. It's kind of
Right.
like disembobulated.
But that's-
you don't get less rights for that.
I agree. I mean, like, well, to a certain degree, I agree with that. But like, there is a meaningful difference between a fertilized egg and a conscious
What is
human
it?
being. One is less conscious than the other.
Oh no, one has more skills. But like, what's the innate moral difference? And prove it to me.
Because it seems like we do restrict rights, and we do actually change rights based on development and consciousness.
No,
and
about
cognitive
life.
experience,
So
right?
like a 4-year-old.
Right.
What is the innate moral difference of a 4-year-old and a zygote?
One is more conscious.
Okay, got it. So I think that's irrelevant. I think they're both human beings deserving of protection. Consciousness alone is not a marker of dignity.
Okay, but so then what is your marker of dignity? Is
Being
that
a
because-
human being.
Being a human being. So is your argument a little bit circular though? There, it's just like it's
No,
just
it's not.
because we deserve rights because we're a human being.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's self-evident. We are human beings with a soul, therefore we have rights.
So we deserve rights because we're human beings because we're human beings. So like how am I supposed to win against this argument here?
You can't.
See, okay, yeah, exactly. So it's
Because
inherently
it's called a
okay.
self-evident truth.
So like,
It's
yeah.
called self-evident. So that's why the pro-life position is irrefutable.
But
is
so
that
then-
because you have to posit human
right,
beings have
and,
rights.
and is that a kind of a concern that like we base all our entire ideology on this one illogical circle that?
No,
that
it's not
goes back and
illogical.
forth?
It's incredibly
Yeah, right.
logical.
So like,
we are human beings,
what I'm
and we
interested
believe
in
that
is
they
that,
matter.
Like, if you were to remove this circle here, then you would have to actually be pro-life in the sense it'd be pro-life to all life.
Oh, we are.
Right. So
No, no,
pro-life to
no,
like
but no,
animals,
but no,
and kind of, you know.
but we don't
saying-
believe
I'm-
human
look,
beings
I'm
are-
not like a vegan or anything. I'm not vegetarian.
But human beings
I
are
think
not the
this-
moral
if
same
you
as
were-
a bird. It's not the same thing. for multiple reasons. Because a human being has characteristics and qualities, and most importantly, we believe as Christians, human beings have a soul that a bird does not have.
Okay, so characteristics and qualities
And only,
like...
and let me interrupt one more.
Sorry,
the West,
no
whether
problem.
you agree or not, sorry to interrupt, we believe the human being is the only thing made in the image of the Creator, Imago Dei.
Okay, so when you say characteristics and qualities, what does that mean to me? What does that mean to me?
Well, first of all, not just the ability to reason, but
Okay.
also the ability to sympathize, empathize,
Okay.
feel, predict, plan,
Yeah.
conjecture, to have
Right.
mercy, forgiveness,
Okay.
to be able to be
All beautiful things.
introspective.
I love that. I love that about us human beings.
Oh, no, I know.
I'm not being sarcastic.
No,
It's
but
a good
we
point.
human beings
Yeah.
are exceptional, actually. I mean,
Right.
versus the beasts of the wild, of which
Right.
we should appreciate and adore. But again, more beyond that, we come after this from a soft religious view, because you don't have to be Christian to believe this,
Right.
that the human being has innate, inerrant, embedded, let's just say, dignity that a fox does not.
Right. Yeah. So what you just did there is kind of like my argument here. You're saying that like because we're human, we are more developed. We have higher cognitive reasoning. We're able to sympathize, emotion, and reason, do all these
And the
great
soul.
things. Right. But the thing is, well, I guess that's a religious belief, though.
Well,
That-
that's
in
an
my belief
interesting
system,
question.
I think that consciousness is the soul,
And
if that makes sense.
that's where why if you don't believe in God, it's easy to go want to murder a bunch of people. And I'm not criticizing you.
Right,
it goes
right,
back to
right.
just a common theme here. If you believe in God, every human being has dignity.
Well, you're kind of intuition pumping there about saying if it's murder because we haven't really discussed. We haven't even agreed on
I mean,
whether
but look,
the zygote
it's of course,
a human being,
if
worth
it's a human
considering,
being
right?
and the elimination of human life is murder, but that's
Right.
fine. We're
Okay.
just. This is why it's very hard to change people
Okay.
that don't believe in God to be pro-life, because you don't necessarily believe that human life is necessarily special.
No, I mean I do.
But you might
believe
think it's
human
like
life is very
unique and it's
special,
like
right?
interesting.
It is
but
unique
but you
experience,
don't
right?
believe it's made in the image of a creator.
Okay, yeah,
And
I
that's
mean,
fine. And that's why we tend to be the pro-life champions, and those that don't believe in God don't. And that's okay.
Okay.
It's just that clarity is important for the audience.
Okay, so I guess we can keep going back and forth. I'm sure you got a whole lot. I'm gonna give it
It's
to
fine.
more people.
No,
But I do.
you've been great.
I do want to have a good question with you. A question about that I want to leave off on is. So it seems like I think you're pretty set in stone in this position, and I would like to ask, what would I have to do or prove to show you in order to convince you that pro-life isn't the answer that society should be seeking for?
I mean, it would be an impossibility. You have to prove to me God doesn't exist.
Okay, so then we can agree that like this is just a moral issue that you're appealing to a book.
Of course. I
And-
mean, all
okay.
moral issues appeal to an authority, obviously.
Okay.
Why is murder wrong?
I mean, because the reason if you want to talk about morality, we can talk about morality too.
Abortion is a moral issue. Of course
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
But
But, the reason why
our
I
whole
think-
conversation is
I
laced
think-
with morality.
But in order to kind of like reduct it to like a textbook or a book or a specific like thing,
Well,
ascribe
why?
of
Where do you
truth,
get your
right?
morality from?
Well, I think morality should be based on like what is the best choice of action to help society progress.
Okay,
If
so
that makes any sense.
okay, got it. What
Right.
if society agrees we should kill the dumb people?
Well, probably not the best.
Well, but why?
Well, the thing is, it's
Or how about- how about
the
this?
thing is,
We should abort-
pragmatically that doesn't work out. Because
Yes,
if
it
we kill
does.
the
In
dog-
Iceland, it's mandatory to abort Down syndrome babies.
Okay.
It's it's best, right? Down syndrome people are a strain on society. Why do you say it's wrong?
I mean, because there's some degree of like we should protect some people.
Why? By what standard? Why are you appealing to? I appeal to a book. What do you appeal
The thing
to?
is, I think like there's still some value to
Why?
people
What
to
standard?
that
Is
have,
that your
like-
opinion, or is there something transcendent telling you that?
No, there's something transcendent because like there is some sacredity to life, and that's what I agree with. I agree that life
Why?
is sacred. That's why I would agree that if you adopted a more broader pro-life stance, I think I would be more on side of that. Like if you want to have a society where we're forcing women to breed and pump out children, then I would say you would have to create that society where like it is more able for them to do that, and in addition to not be indiscriminate between life. So I think I would
Got
agree
it.
with that sentiment, right?
Thank you for your time.
It's all right if you have an opinion. I'm saying it's not all right if you don't understand how the female reproductive
Okay,
system
then
works.
pop quiz. When does heartbeats begin for babies in utero?
Have you ever eaten an egg before?
Um,
That's yes or no. Have you ever eaten an egg before?
scrambled. Yeah.
Okay, so would that be you scrambled a full chicken?
Well, hold on. Oh, you understand that it takes an egg to be fertilized?
Right. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But
Uh-huh.
Your
Yeah,
point,
so-
the whole
so-
point you're making
Well,
is
hold
that
on. So,
a
but no.
baby...
Since we're doing pop quiz on like human development, so when exactly do heart waves begin in utero?
You know that, but you don't know the four
Hold on. No.
cycles.
So tell me when. Heartbeat.
I don't know.
Okay, you don't know.
No.
So wait, hold on. So you're trying to say I know more about the woman reproductive system than you do?
I am a woman, so yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, but the point being is we could both go back and forth of like independent trivial facts when it comes to the woman's reproductive system. But here's something we all know, because God wrote this on the human heart of every individual, as it says in the book of Romans. We know deep down it's wrong to murder a baby.
You're not murdering a baby. It's not a baby.
Okay, well, let's play this out. What is it then?
It is an embryo, which is not a baby.
Well, okay, so it's a fertilized embryo.
Correct, which is not a baby.
So at what point does it become a baby?
When it is born.
Oh.
I don't agree with abortions up to full-term abortions.
Well, hold on, but you said it becomes a baby when it's born.
Yes.
Then why would you have abortion limits before it's born? I thought it's just an embryo. So embryo rights?
No, the embryo rights aren't a
But
thing.
then
because it's not
where
a
would you
person.
draw a line for abortion then, and why, and under what moral standard?
There are medical reasons not
No,
to have an
no,
abortion.
no,
for
that's
full
not the
term.
question. That's not
Yes,
the
it is.
question.
You just asked me why would I not have an abortion full term for medical reasons.
Okay, so at 29 weeks, the baby is nearly fully developed, can recognize the mother's voice, has a heartbeat, has brain waves. Is it okay to abort that baby?
I don't it's not okay, but you're going to say it's okay to have an abortion then. I don't understand what you're trying to say. It's not okay to have an abortion ever? How
Correct.
about 3
Yes.
weeks in?
Correct. No
Right.
abortion. Correct.
Why?
Well, because your life started at conception.
It did not though. It did not.
Well, hold on. So let's play this out. So who are you as an individual? From your skin color to your eye color to your likes, your dislikes, from your temperament to your everything.
I am not an embryo. I'm a person.
Hold on a second. But it started with something called deoxyribonucleic acid. And your own individual DNA started at the point of egg and sperm meeting. That's where your journey started. And so from that point in particular, life begins. Not at birth, not at first words, not at first steps, but when your DNA, which is who you actually are. You are your DNA. Every one of your DNA cells is coded XX or XY. It's coded with all of your unique characteristics and attributes that we believe God individually curated for the rest of your life. That doesn't happen at 8 weeks or 10 weeks. It happens at conception.
What happens if you need a medical abortion? If the mother will die if she does not get an abortion?
So
what's your stance on
the
that?
The only place where medical abortion is necessary is before 20 weeks, which is incredibly
rare. What if she
rare.
will die? What if the mother
Hold
will
on a second.
die?
So let's take, for example, this is a very important question. Let's say it's 27 weeks, okay? And the mother will die. Why shouldn't, you could agree, why don't we just have the baby delivered by cesarean section? You know what a cesarean section is, right?
Yes.
What is a cesarean
A
section?
C-section?
Yeah, why wouldn't we just put the baby out by C-section instead of terminating it?
Because if the mother will die, it's not safe
but
to do that.
You remove the baby.
I understand.
Threat removed.
I know what a C-section
But
is.
it's actually safer than an abortion. So every time they say, this is for you guys, they say, oh, you need to have abortion for medical reasons, respond, then have a C-section.
What if you're not able to have a C-section? What if you are on your deathbed, you need to have an abortion right now?
Well, again, but...
And it's illegal. You
guess what?
can't, so you
Actually,
have to die.
First and foremost, C-section is safer, C-section is quicker, and a C-section saves both lives. A C-section
The
takes...
baby is already dead, you just said.
No, but even... No. Hold on a second. You're saying if the baby's already dead, then it isn't even an abortion, right? Then you're talking about a removal of a carcass, which is a completely different medical operation.
So you're saying that's okay if you're
Well,
having...
If you're hold on. If you're removing a carcass of a baby, that is not an abortion, by definition.
It's the same process.
No, it's completely different. During an abortion, they actually inject the spinal fluid with cyanide poisoning as the baby squirms and tries to find its mother, and it is gasping for air of life. Have you ever watched an abortion? It is
Have
one of
you?
the... Yeah, actually I have. And I encourage every human being to watch one to know what you are fighting against. Because when you see abortion, you will have your life will be changed. That we allow the massacre of 1.5 million babies a year under the guise of woman reproductive health. We are allowing babies every single year to just say, we're going to discard them. Why? Oh, they're smaller. They're not humans. You're using dehumanizing language saying, oh, it's an embryo. No, that's a baby made in the image of God, deserving of protection.
What do you do with those children once they're born into a bad household?
So now we've transitioned to, what do you do with the kids?
Right.
Glad we're past the other part of the argument, okay? What do you do with them? There's twice as many people on the adoption waiting list than there are abortions every single year.
And they're still on the list. So you want to send a child into an orphanage?
Well,
is that what you want for a child? Is that a good life for a child?
No, I'm not advocating that. In fact, I'm advocating to make it easier to be able to adopt, number one. Number two, there's no such thing as an unwanted child. Number three, it is never right to justify the mass elimination or termination of people under the guise of saying they're unwanted. That's how we get Auschwitz. That's how we get the greatest horrors of the 20th century. Those people are unwanted.
So you're comparing abortion to the Holocaust?
Absolutely, I am. In fact, it's worse. It's worse.
It's really not. I don't
It's
think it is.
45 million babies. It's nearly 8 times worse than the Holocaust. What's the moral difference between a small baby in the womb and a grown Jew who was killed at Auschwitz? What's the moral difference? One is older.
Is a person.
What species is the baby in the womb?
It's a human, but
Therefore,
it's
they should have human rights.
No,
They should have human rights.
I do not agree.
Oh, so small humans, no human rights. Grown humans,
It's
human
not
rights.
a small human. It's an embryo.
You just said it was a human species.
It's not a living
it doesn't,
human child.
Wait, it's not a what?
It's not a child.
But
it's not a living child.
It has a heartbeat. It has brain
that does
waves.
not make it a child.
But tell me when it becomes a child then.
I already told you, when it is born.
Again, so under every other objective definition, you see, guys, how quickly the pro-abortion arguments fall apart with just the slightest questioning? But our position is one rooted not in feelings, not in personal autonomy, but one in biological consistency and reality. That your life had an agreed-upon starting point, that starting point should be protected and preserved. And the excuses given for abortion is dehumanization. Oh, it's just an embryo. Guys, that's just using different language to justify the massacre of something smaller than you. That's all that it is.
I would like to ask you about, for abortions, right? How do we explain to those who are for it, how do we explain that even, I don't know if you believe this or not, but in terms of like a or unintentional or really unconsented pregnancies, can we say that we should still be anti-abortion in that scenario?
Yes.
What's your grounds for that? And how would I explain it to someone else?
Sure, it's a good question. Let's say I have 2 ultrasounds here.
Mm-hmm.
One is an ultrasound of a baby from a loving marriage. The other one is a baby conceived in. Which one is which?
We can't exactly tell.
So they're both human beings?
Right.
They both deserve human rights.
Okay. But then what is if someone pushes back against with the idea...
Closer, yeah.
What is if someone pushes back with the idea that now, in terms of the mother, right, one of them was willingly conceived while the other one was a forced conceived?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair argument. The question then should be, when, if ever, in your moral universe, is it okay to do something evil after an evil act to try to make that evil act correct?
But how about in terms of, what if we're in the position of the mother, and she is, I don't want to take the risk of illness, death, or whatever to have this child.
Sure, so it's a little bit of a false choice because they're acting as if the termination of the pregnancy will have no consequences or costs. A lot of women that get abortions have regret. Women die when they get abortions. They have a lot of their health issues. It's not just like getting a haircut. So it's a little bit of a false choice. But we come after it from a very basic moral argument. There are 2 lives involved. There's a little life and a grown life. And no one has the right to eliminate a human life in utero, period.
So then, at that point, now we're forcing someone to do something that they never consented to, never wanted to do. How isn't this violating their human autonomy?
Well, again, but eliminating the human being would also violate the baby's autonomy too, wouldn't it?
Well, then we would have to ask, right? Maybe in future years we will have the technology to be able to extract a fetus and grow a fetus outside of the uterus. But given our state of medicine right now, we do not have that.
Sure. I mean, but again, no one is delighting or rejoicing in these circumstances. I mean, it's a terrible situation. I want to reiterate that. But you have a unspeakably difficult choice that is very morally, clear though, which is that you don't eliminate a human being because an awful action happened.
Are you saying that as someone who can get... Well, I guess my pushback against that would be then if we say that it's entirely wrong, right? We are, I guess, we're sacrificing someone's choice for someone's life, which is admirable, but
It's also morally correct. You don't get to murder someone smaller than you if it makes your life difficult.
But then we can't exactly see. The fetus does not have autonomy. It cannot exist outside of the uterus
Doesn't
quite
matter.
yet.
Human dignity does not correlate with dependency. So dignity and dependency are not two things corrected. You have human dignity because you're a human being, not because how dependent you are.
So would you say that viability happens when...
Viability is irrelevant.
So then, at what point does human life begin then?
Conception.
Conception, not even sperm or
That's conception.
eggs? Okay.
That's conception. That's
Well, I
when
just wanted to get
when an
that
egg is
baseline.
fertilized. When an egg is fertilized, human life begins.
Okay, so then when it's still a single cell with both chromosomes pairings, right?
Well,
That-
it creates new DNA, right? So once the sperm and egg meet, literally something magical and inexplicable happens, where new DNA is formed.
Okay, and then what happens? So then,
Then it attaches to the uterine wall, and I can go through the whole
Yeah,
gestational process.
all right, so then we have the basis of human life. Now, what is if within the uterus, now that life is still alive, but is unable to proceed to, like, let's say, actual birth due to some medical situation that has happened?
Well, has the baby died without outside intervention or with outside intervention?
Let's say that the-
Is it an ectopic pregnancy, or what? You got to be very clear about the type of.
The amniotic sac has
Yeah, that's
ruptured.
an ectopic pregnancy, right? So
Right.
yeah, you can remove the baby from that situation without aborting it. The baby will die outside of the womb, but you
Right.
do not have to abort it. So those are two different things. The removal of a baby is what's called the cesarean section. You can do that very early on. Now, ectopic pregnancy is very real. It's very terrible. But you can solve an ectopic pregnancy outside of having an abortion. Everyone who's pro-choice, in my opinion, has a moral obligation to watch a video of an abortion just to know kind of what you're supporting. It's so beyond inexplicable. But yeah, look, really quick, what's the final question on this? Because I want to keep moving.
Oh, sure. So you didn't really finish the question of when can we do that procedure, right? If there's still a heartbeat,
I don't think we should ever do that procedure.
what happens if, like, now the mother's life is going to die in, like, the
Well,
next
it depe-
15
it depe-
minutes, but the baby is still having a heartbeat? What do we do at that
depends
point?
on, again, I don't want to speak to every specific. Some OBGYNs say abortion is never medically necessary. I'm not a professional enough to say that. But it depends how far advanced the woman is. If she's past 22 weeks, have a cesarean section. Try to have the baby live in NICU.
So there are situations where abortions are okay, right?
Well, no, I'm not even saying okay. Again, I don't know enough about some OBGYNs that they can defend their statement here. They will say abortion is never medically necessary. I'll allow them to defend that. I don't know enough about the details there to be able to say that.
So you're saying that you do not have a statement of whether abortions can never be true or always?
It is murder. Whether or not an OBGYN can prove to me, of which there's a lot of debate, it is ever medically necessary. So take, for example, if a baby is 26 weeks and the baby's, the mom's life is in danger, deliver the baby by C-section. Don't terminate the baby. Does that make sense?
Yes, I
The
kind
baby
of
can
see.
survive outside of the womb.
Okay, at that point, yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hi. Okay, I'm just here to talk about abortion, but my first question was, why should women who are raped have to give birth to that baby?
Yeah, I think it's as simple as, do you believe life matters or not?
I mean, is it because it has a heartbeat when it is conceived?
Well,
Exactly.
right. So what is the question you're asking?
I'm saying that if it
My
is-
question to you is, do you believe that life matters?
I do believe life matters after the person is born, or the
Oh,
child.
after the person's born. So okay, so
Here we go.
if Riley were to be pregnant, or if any woman were to be pregnant right now, and there's a baby that's 20 weeks developed, is that baby alive?
No.
No.
I mean, not physically. Is it? I mean, it's.
Wait,
can
so it has
breathe
a
on its
heartbeat,
own?
it can hear the mom's voice, has its own fingerprint, its own DNA, it can empty its own bladder. What about it is not alive?
The fact if it doesn't have a heartbeat.
At 20
It does
weeks,
have a heartbeat.
it does.
At 20
So
weeks.
heartbeat start at 6 weeks, right? So I'm talking about a 20-week baby, 20-week-year-old baby. How is that not alive?
I mean, I guess we see it different ways, but I mean, in how I see it, you have to cut an umbilical cord to get that child out, And I feel like if that child is still attached to the mother, if the mother has to eat to feed the baby, if the child is still living on the baby inside of the mother, it should not, it isn't alive.
Well, a mother has to feed a baby months and months and months and months after the baby is already on this planet.
But the mother is feeding the baby. This baby, when it's inside, are they feeding?
So what about someone on a feeding tube? If you don't feed them through their feeding tube, are they not worthy of life?
How old's that person? Are they born? Have they been born yet?
But why does the moral worth of a human being matter whether they're born or not?
Probably, the point that I was trying to get out with it, the point that I was trying to get out with it is that women shouldn't have to be forced to give birth to that child if they don't want to. That's the point I was just trying to get out there.
Okay, let's say I have 2 ultrasounds here. One of the baby.
Show the dolphin fetus again.
One of them is a baby conceived in.
Okay.
The other one is a baby conceived in a loving relationship. Which one is which?
I mean, it's up to them. The thing
No,
is
but which one is which? I can't tell the difference. Help me out.
I'm not saying that there's a difference between those two
Exactly,
children.
so they both deserve human rights.
No, I'm saying that if a mother doesn't want to give birth to her child, she shouldn't have to.
Okay, so should you be able to commit murder of a newborn if you don't want the baby anymore?
No, you would.
Why? Well, then what's the difference?
You wouldn't have the child if you didn't want it. That's the point of abortion.
Well, hold on.
I will.
I hope you never have an abortion, actually. Abortion's really bad.
It's my body, my choice. That's the thing.
Well, hold on. If it's your body, your choice, and I'll let Riley chime in.
So is it your choice because you're a man and you get to make those
Well,
decisions for
hold
me?
on. Time out.
Yeah.
You want to say that to Riley? Riley's a woman, too, so say the same statement to her. Say the same statement to her.
But
No, your logic must be equally applicable to all sexes. Say that same statement to her.
I'm saying that she can
Say the same statement to her.
I'm not saying that statement to you. I'm saying that you as a man.
You just said it to me.
No, I'm saying you as a man should not have. You should have the right to choose whether I can get an
Okay,
abortion or not.
does she have the right to choose
Yes,
for
she
you?
does have the right. She doesn't have no one has the right to choose for me.
Okay,
but
so it's not a
me.
man thing. That's what I'm saying.
It is a man because Trump is in charge and he is the one. He said that he is the reason that Roe v. Wade is overturned. He said
Praise
that.
the Lord, Roe versus Wade is overturned.
In what way? It also kills other women and
You
children.
know we have more babies being born in Texas than ever before since the abolition of abortion. Isn't that a good thing?
And that's why we have such a high population. That's why we have
No, we
12
don't.
million people on Earth. Yes, we do.
We have a declining population.
Yeah.
We have a population collapse. What are you talking about? The world is on the verge of a population extinction event. We don't have enough babies. We're below replacement levels in the West.
So you want to make women have
Not
babies?
make. Okay, let's go through fundamental biology. How do people get pregnant?
I know how a woman gets pregnant.
So if you decide to have sex, you might win a certain prize.
What if you don't decide?
I'm sorry, what?
What if you do not decide to have sex and you get?
Again, it's still a human life. You don't get to kill a baby just because a human life occurs. Something evil does not get better when another evil action occurs. And I will say this, somebody in this audience was conceived in. Can you tell me who?
It doesn't matter who. That's
Well,
the thing.
that's the thing, is they're all human.
I'm not saying that they're not a human life. I'm saying the mother should have the
Okay.
choice whether she
Got
wants
it.
to
No,
give
but
birth
let's.
to that
You
human
said
life.
they're not a human life, so they are a human life. Therefore, an extermination of human life is called what?
Murder.
So yes, abortion is murder, even in the case of, and that's a
It's an
hard thing to
embryo,
internalize.
though.
It doesn't matter. So,
You're
but
saying it's a child, but it's not.
what
physically a
species
child.
is it?
It is a human, but
Okay.
But is it a? Has the child
So,
formed yet?
but hold on, you're not fully
child yet?
formed. Riley's not fully formed. I'm not fully formed. We actually go through this process of development our entire life. An embryo is just one stage upon human development. It doesn't mean you get less rights just because you're earlier in the human development scale.
I mean, I feel like I do have more rights than a baby that is in someone's
Why does
stomach.
your age give you more rights over an embryo? Why do you have the ability to eliminate a smaller human? Why is that
It's
morally
not that
consistent?
I'm not saying that it's better because it is a smaller human. I'm saying that, oh my God, I'm saying that women themselves should have the choice to get.
Baby has no choice.
Yeah, that's
Thank
why
you.
I should have the choice.
Riley, do you want to take this as a woman?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a flawed logic to insinuate that if you have a heartbeat, these certain qualifications, that is what determines human rights. The moment you're conceived, you are a human, right? We all just agreed that the species is a Homo sapien. You are a human at that point. That's when human rights begin. So I think it's ironic that the other side, who touts human rights, who claims to fight for human rights, They don't believe those belong to children. And as a woman, I believe every single life is worthy. Every life matters.
Okay, well. Well, I mean, there are so many women out there who do get pregnant, and because of laws that are in place that they cannot have an abortion, and they have to give birth to that baby. Many women that are pregnant, I'm not saying all of them, I'm saying some of them are drug addicts, some of them just physically can't financially keep a child. What is the solution?
Adoption.
But the thing is that, do you know how many kids are actually adopted from adoption agencies?
Do you know how many women struggle with infertility who would love to adopt a baby?
Exactly. 25% of these kids get adopted before they are 18. And the kids that do not get adopted are let go from the adoption agency, and they do not know what they're doing. Not that they don't know what they're doing.
There certainly could be reforms within the foster care community and within the adoption system, but there are plenty and plenty and plenty of families of women who are hoping to be able to adopt because they can't conceive on their own.
But 25%? Only 25%.
Then there should be a reform
not
within
for a lack
the
of willingness,
adoption.
though.
What are you going to do about
There's
it?
not a
If
lo-
you want to say that we cannot have an abortion, but many children are not finding homes until they're 18, and a lot of these kids, once they're let go from adoption agencies, become homeless, become drug addicts, because you say that we cannot have abortion, but you are not doing anything to make
Hold on,
it right.
but first of all, number
Yeah,
one.
neither are you.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Well, what am I supposed to do? I'm 16.
Okay. So again, the essence of this, again, and we'll wrap this up. There's twice as many people on the adoption waiting list than there are actually being adopted. Twice as many. So the adoption waiting list is very long. You just have to make it easier to adopt.
Adoption reform.
Well, then that'd mean that only 50% of these kids would be adopted, and there are still 50% of these children which are.
I think she missed.
I think you missed the point. That's okay. Thank you for your time. We'll get to the next question.
Yep.
Thank you.